Mexico needs $1 billion over the next 2 decades to upgrade its water infrastructure. That's according to the American Society of Civil Engineers. Governor Susana Martinez is pushing a plan where lawmakers would allot a big portion of their capital outlay money, funds that they'd like to reserve for projects in their communities, to put towards a comprehensive water fund of around $112 million. But many legislators want more details on what will be funded under this plan. And MIF correspondent Gwyneth Dolan spoke with 2 legislators in Santa Fe this week about water issues and whether they support this idea.
Representative Egolf, the governor has a plan for water infrastructure in the state, and she's asking every lawmaker to give up a part of your capital outlay to spend on water projects in your district. How do you feel about this?
Well, first of all, it is something that sounds great, especially in a campaign year for the governor. The problem is it's a terrible policy. Capital outlay is not my money. It's not the legislators' money. It is the people's money. And in a state like New Mexico, with so many small communities, so many rural areas, the only way small communities' issues get funded or get recognized is through the capital outlay project. Whether it's the senior center in Mora that needs a new kitchen added, and that's done by the local rep or local senator, whether in Santa Fe it's a small expansion of the farmers market to provide more economic opportunity to northern New Mexico's farmers. All these projects are relatively small in the scope of a $6 billion budget. The way they get addressed and funded is through capital outlay. When the governor says that she wants to take north of $110 million of this capital and get it through a blank check with no projects identified, with no restrictions whatsoever, what she's doing is asking all the communities in New Mexico to give up the opportunity to have their local issues addressed and fixed. And she's asking to have free rein with taxpayer money with no legislative oversight. That's not to say water isn't an important issue. It absolutely is. Albuquerque and Santa Fe have spent about $1 billion on water infrastructure over the last 10 years with the San Juan Chama projects. There's even more projects in water that we need now. I have some in my district, and we're going to address those through the capital outlay process.
Well, Governor Martinez's idea here is that only by banding together and making one really big push on water projects can you make a dent in the problem. So can you really do it piecemeal?
Yes. First of all, it's not piecemeal. It's identifying the projects that need to be funded and funding them appropriately. We've taken all the projects that the governor has identified, sometimes just in political events or meetings with local officials, and we're working to have those projects included so that they can be part of the overall package. The bigger issue is the governor recognizes that the people of New Mexico are very, very concerned about water supply, and they're rightly concerned about water supply. But it's very simple for her to stand up and say, we're going to spend all of our money on water infrastructure. The problem is water infrastructure, it's not like building a baseball field in a cornfield. Okay? If you build the pipes, the water doesn't come. So water infrastructure is a good idea, but putting the pipes doesn't mean they're going to be filled with drops of water. So there's a much, much bigger issue here of conservation, more effective uses of water, smarter agricultural irrigation policies that are what we need to be doing to address the greater water problem and really water crisis that's facing the state.
Some are proposing that the way we fund water projects now through all these different authorities and departments should be changed so that we have one central body making decisions and doing the funding. Do you like that idea?
Consolidation of water funding entities in general is a good idea. The problem is that this administration has already undertaken a process that is having the effect of squishing the little guys. Right now, for example, in order to enable the governor to say she's against fraud, waste, and abuse, she's requiring little tiny water systems to have 3 years of financial audits from a CPA before they can get access to critical funding for things like water safety. You've got systems whose revenues are maybe only $12,000 a year who are being asked to spend $10,000 on a CPA, even though they've had requests for proposals out for years that go unfulfilled because no one is available to do the work. What that means is these little systems don't get the money, but the money is available for the big systems. It's just it's part of a big push at the expense of the little guy, whether it's a little system that wants to be funded on the Water Trust Board but can't because of the governor's new rules, whether it's a little system in the southern part of the district I represent near Madrid or Cerrillos that can't get funded because they don't have an audit, whether it's someone up in Mora who can't get funding because the governor wants to take all the capital outlay away from the legislature's discretion and give it to her. It is a long pattern, unfortunately, of the little systems, the little folks getting the short end of the deal.
Senator Burt, in this state, we fund water through many diversions, many different streams of money we use to fund water. Is this a system that's working for you right now?
Well, I think the system works, but I think the system could be more efficient. And I know that there are some folks within the legislature that are looking at the possibility of consolidating how water projects are funded in the state of New Mexico.
So, for example, Senator Sanchez has a plan that would put all of that water allocation under one agency. Is that the kind of thing that you would support?
Well, again, I'd like to see the plan. I don't like to jump out there and say, yeah, that's a great idea until I see what the plan actually is. But we can talk about taxes, we can talk about health care, we can talk about a myriad of things, but if we don't have our water squared away, we're not going to have anything to talk about other than water issues.
So, of all of the funding mechanisms we're talking about, what is the actual impact on the ground? What kind of projects are you working on in your district in southern New Mexico?
We actually have broken ground. The governor was there a few weeks ago to break ground on the first desalination project in the state of New Mexico, commercial or municipal project in the state of New Mexico. It's called the Snake Tank Project, and it is north of Tularosa, a few miles. It is designed to take water out of a different water table, bring it into a pipeline, and use part of the Bonita pipeline, which we use now from the Bonita Lake up near Ruidoso, bring it down through the Tularosa Basin to Alamogordo and Holloman.
Governor Martinez has asked state lawmakers to get on board with the plan she has for spending capital outlay money on water projects in your district. It's a big part of your capital outlay budget. Is that something you support?
I am very supportive of the project. I would like to see the list of projects that we are going to support, but I support the concept of this. I will tell you that the last couple of years that I have been working on capital outlay, a vast majority of the projects that most municipalities and areas would like to address are water issues. Replacing of pipelines, water treatment plants, providing for enhancement to their water systems, expanding their water systems. And so I think that taking this backlog of water projects around the state of all varying sizes and costs and trying to put a huge dent or get rid of many of them is a very good idea because at this rate I don't think we'll ever even catch up. So I appreciate this, and New Mexico is one of those Southwest states that water is critical to our survival, quite frankly. If we don't have that water, we can't bring industry in, we can't support the industry and the businesses that are here. So I would certainly like to, in concept, support that idea.
How is water related to economic development?
I think as time goes on and the state of New Mexico, because of current administration, some past administrations is being recognized more and more, we are doing some very good things with regards to lowering the corporate tax rate so that we can draw businesses into the state of New Mexico. I will tell you that Alamogordo right now has drawn 3 new high-tech businesses to it. They're moving out of San Diego, California and Seattle, Washington to come to Alamogordo, New Mexico and produce remotely piloted either aircraft or vehicles. And the other 2 companies, one company is producing those, the other 2 are supporting those with parts, if you will. And a lot of that decision has had to do with the governor's tax change, bringing the corporate tax rate down to 5.9%. And so as we draw more people in, we're going to have to address the water issue and making sure that we have enough water to accommodate those businesses. It's exciting for me because, again, as I said, with the Snake Tank project up and running, we're about just under 40,000 people right now in Alamogordo. We should be able to sustain a population of over 55,000 for the foreseeable future, and it all has to do with water.
Thank you.